Hi, I'm Ewan.
And I'm Aaron.
Here at ROI, we're all about generating better leads for our customers. And today we're going to talk about what represents a good lead and why, in the latest stats by HubSpot, sales teams are giving feedback that only 25% of the leads that sales teams are receiving are even worth following up. Of those 25%, only 5% sales teams are saying a good quality. Now, Aaron, you work on lots of different businesses over the last 7 years.
Yep.
You would have worked with hundreds of different businesses and sales teams.
Yep.
Why do you think there's such a disconnect between marketing and sales when it comes to quality leads?
Yeah, it's a great question, Ewan. So basically, when it comes to a salesperson, obviously, there's a big requirement to get as many quotes in as possible, so they solely rely on volume. Whereas, marketing and marketing managers can probably relate to this. They're going for more, that quality type of customer. What are the leads that we should be focusing on? So we don't want to be missing out on that opportunity cost.
So do you think that you've just mentioned sales and marketing, do you think there's an opportunity sometimes where perhaps the sales team are talking maybe a different language and what they feel is the market may be a little different to what the marketing team is chasing? Is that possible? Absolutely,
it's possible. I see that all the time. Just a great example of that, just the other day, we were both in that meeting, and basically, marketing had one idea of a concept, and the sales team had a separate idea, and it was, pretty quickly we both learned that they're not being aligned in terms of what that is. Ultimately, you're chasing the wrong leads.
I mean, it seems a pretty basic question, but do you think businesses watching this should be having a discussion of what is a qualified lead, or is it just a given that everyone should know that, it's a name and a phone number, that's good enough?
Yeah, good question. I think it's really important that there is alignment between sales and marketing in terms of what a good lead is. At the end of the day, all the marketing money that you're spending on getting these leads, you want to be making sure that they're the right types of customers, and ultimately that they are leading to sales.
And can you share any examples where perhaps there were some businesses that we've been working with where they've grown a lot, and as a result of that growth, they've stopped chasing sort of the volume, they're starting to think about their markets a bit differently, perhaps where they were not aligned, and then what happened and how we sort of helped the businesses together as a collaboration become more aligned, and what the results were afterwards?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have one client which I work with called Bowen Group, who is a great example of what you've just mentioned there. So they came on around about 4 years ago now. They came on, basically wanting to grow the business and get, more leads into the door. So since then, we've obviously evolved. We're at the stage now where we're really trying to, micro segment customers. Obviously, what happens is when you do that, they receive different messaging, and you really want to try and dim down to what their requirement is, and you're making sure that you're providing them with a separate solution. Finding in doing that, they've grown tenfold, and I think now this is the next step to get to that, next level of engagement with customers.
That's an interesting point. Do you think there's a direct connection between the advertising message and the type of customer that comes in the door?
Absolutely, I do. I have a really strong belief in that, actually. Just from campaigns that I work on, I know if I, speak to the client or interview the client about what they feel that customer profile is, and then I match that with, ads to that customer profile with certain terms or keywords, it's a better response straight away.
So if someone was watching this video and they wanted to improve their quality of leads, what are the three golden nuggets that you might provide that could steer them in the right direction?
Yeah, well, first one would probably be, actually sit down and go over what that, lead looks like. What is the perfect lead for that type of business, number one. Number two, I'd be, interviewing the sales team and understanding what are some real pain points that they have or deal with customers in terms of that, and trying to address them with the marketing that we're doing. And number three, if there are any kind of unique points in terms of, somewhere where you're getting a lot of sales or somewhere where you're turning over a lot of sales quickly, really put more of a focus into that. And, when you do that, I've found personally that a better result comes from that.
That's great advice. Do you think that when the hard questions are asked, there's sometimes a tendency for sales and marketing teams when under pressure to focus on the problems and the things they're not winning, as opposed to perhaps going, no, why don't we actually bottle the things that we are winning on and get more of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you of all people should know when it comes to sales that sometimes a salesperson can get a bit under pressure and start accepting things that is probably not the most ideal form of lead. But look, I think you made a great point. I think, when you really dim down to, what that lead is that you're going for and not falling under pressure and, getting things in the door in terms of volume, 9 times out of 10, I think, you get a better lead, and it might take a bit longer to pay off, but when it does, usually it's a lot better.
It's interesting, I had a workshop with a client about 2 months ago, and traditionally they've been focusing wholly on a KPI of volume of leads. And we've got a fixed budget. So we had to have the conversation about how we were going to collectively, not our agency, you're an expert, you work it out, how we're going to collectively deal with the opposite contradiction of we need more volumes of leads, right? But we also need more quality, because the data was indicating that yes, we could have easily produced a lot more leads, but those leads would not have converted into sales. However, if we wanted to improve the net result of sales, we were going to have to pay more for a lower number of leads, but we'd have to then have that hard conversation about the main measure of success being sales, and we're going to have that conversation about that it's okay to have maybe a 20% reduction in the volume of leads, because we accept that in the past, a lot of these leads have been a false indicator of success. That was a very hard conversation to have, but once we got aligned, right, we're now mutually going towards a sales target, and the numbers are automatically going up because the sales team are getting better leads, they're making more sales, and then confidence brings confidence. Thanks for sharing those examples, Aaron.
No problems at all, thank you.